Hello, a new shade of blue tuning in. I don't dabble in the romance genre much, but it's a side plot in almost everything. Where there's conflict, there's romance. Love and war go hand in hand. Poor Hephaestus. But I've been thinking about romance as an A-plot lately, and came to the conclusion that what's at stake in these stories isn't just a romantic relationship, but the mental and emotional well-being of the protagonist. Seems obvious, I guess, but some things are only clear when you look at it from a different angle. Today's story does just that. Let's talk about The Four of Them. Spoilers ahead. The Four of Them is a webtoon created by Mai Hirschfeld. Sorry if I mispronounced that. The story follows several teens as they develop increasingly complex relationships with one another. We start with Jonathan Grillo, as he laments the fact that his younger sister, Mika, is always one-upping him. He was used to it. It's not until she announces that she got a girlfriend before he did that things start to unravel. He tries to shrug it off and use it as motivation to pursue his own crush, Marielle, but his hopes are shattered when Mika introduces Marielle to the family as her girlfriend. Devastated, Johnny turns to his friend Gabby for a shoulder to cry on. Bemused, Gabby suggests that getting a girlfriend might help him get over Marielle. Thus, the quest begins. A girl named Marty offers her aid. She's not interested in dating, but she's a filthy gossip who loves playing matchmaker. She takes the opportunity to get some dirt on Gabby, asking who he's into. Gabby teasingly tells Marty he likes her. Marty doesn't take him seriously. This begins a teasing back and forth between the two. Meanwhile, Johnny landed an invite to a birthday party. Gabby hates parties and refuses to join, so Johnny is forced to use a wall for protection instead. One of his classmates introduces him to an older girl who's really into him, but Johnny feels uncomfortable around her. Confused and frustrated with himself, Johnny bails. Luckily, Marty came through. She set up a double date with Johnny, her friend, Gabby, and herself. That way, Johnny and her friend won't be as nervous. Johnny had to bribe Gabby with food, but the setup worked like a charm. However, just as Johnny starts to see himself with this girl, Marielle and Mika appear. Marty knows Marielle, but never met Mika before. Fearing that Mika would expose the nature of their relationship, Marielle interceded and introduced Mika as just a friend and Johnny's sister. This makes Mika angry and she storms off, an anxious Marielle on her heels. Johnny got Marty's friend's number, but he still isn't over Marielle. She is upset because Mika is giving her the silent treatment. Mika finds her and explains that she's mad because Marielle clearly didn't trust her. Marielle promises to do better. Meanwhile, Johnny drags Gabby with him to another party where he intends to make it official with Marty's friend. Unfortunately, he can't force himself to feel the same way about her as he does Marielle, and decides to bail again rather than string her along. Even more unfortunately, he can't even go home because Mika and Marielle are there. It's too much for him and he breaks down in tears. A few days later, Johnny's still depressed at Gabby's house. Johnny's mom finally figured out what's going on and has a talk with him. She convinces him that broken hearts heal, but only when you give them the time to do so. She tells Johnny to step away from relationships for a while and find something else to care about, a sport or a hobby. She even goes the extra mile and asks Mika not to bring Marielle over as much, and even gets his seat reassigned so Johnny won't have to sit next to Marielle in class. Eventually, he joins the soccer team, makes new friends, and steadily rebuilds his self-esteem, until he knows he's ready to pick up the quest once again. I know that sounded complete, but this is only a brief summary of Johnny's story. The book is called The Four of Them after all. Most of the book takes place during Johnny's rebuilding phase. That's when we get more insight into the lives and struggles of Marielle, Marty, and Gabby. No, Mika isn't one of the four, weirdly enough, but she probably should have been. Despite being set up as the antagonist at first, she never finds out about Johnny's crush. They just have the same taste in girls. Even with hindsight, I wouldn't call her likable. Her surly attitude towards anyone who isn't Marielle makes that a hard sell. Then again, that could apply to Gabby too. He also hates pretty much everything, but I think the difference is that he comes across as snarky, while Micah just comes across as mean. Gabby lightens up the most when he's trading barbs with Marty. The two become close, and Gabby develops feelings for her, which throws him into a full identity crisis, because up until then, he's only liked guys. Now, Marty was ecstatic when she found out that Gabby couldn't fall for her. She had guy friends in the past who ghosted her when she didn't share their feelings. It hurt every time. It's never outright stated, but Marielle is probably aromantic, so she felt secure with Gabby, freeing her up to focus on her sister drama instead. Of course, Gabby's feelings of attraction and guilt led to him ghosting her too. Marielle's relationship ends up on the rocks as well. Mika breaks up with her after she fails to live up to her promise to do better. Turns out she's always been a shy person with very few friends. In fact, Johnny was her first one. However, after Johnny starts avoiding her and Mika cuts ties, it's Marty that she ends up confiding in, and they both agree to tackle their problems head on. She's sick of being afraid all the time. So first things first, Marielle needs to come out to her mom. Despite the drama tag, the four of them is the definition of wholesome. It's hard not to get invested in these kids and want to see them grow. It's an addictive read. We've all seen so many stories about characters obsessing over someone. Most of the time their obsession is rewarded in the end, but I like the approach that the four of them took. Johnny is self-conscious and sensitive, and he has to learn that romance isn't the end-all be-all of your life. Mika and Marielle never get back together. Despite Marielle doing her best, Mika has good reason not to. Marielle does get braver though, and she ends up becoming real friends with Johnny, Marty, and Gabby. It's a story about dealing with your emotions that actually shows how to deal with your emotions step by step. It's the kind of story I could have used as a kid. Like, use it now. If you want to see how things pan out for the four of them, the link to the webtoon is in the description. It even has 3 episodes of a live-action miniseries here on YouTube, if that's more your thing. Be warned, it's a bit different from what I described here. If you liked what you heard here today, please leave a like. I'm prioritizing my animation work, but I'm happy to do more of these if there's demand for it. In the meantime, happy Valentine's Day. ANewShadeOfBlue, tuning out.